Hello everybody, it's Danny and Wanda back from Deepsouth Homestead. We wanted to sit down with you guys and take a moment, and we want to talk about something. In our live streams and our emails, comments in our videos and stuff like that, we get so many questions. We would like to really see if we couldn't maybe answer a few of those.
We're going to try and answer a few garden questions that we don't get to in our live streams and things like that. And today it's like 117.
Right now, while
heat
we're
index.
the heat index right now while we're sitting here is 117 outside. It's 97 degrees, 117 degree heat index.
It will take your breath. It is
Literally.
You know, we're used to heat, but walk outside this time of the day and you're like, I can't breathe.
You can't breathe.
You can't work in this.
Now, the humidity is one of the things that most people don't understand outside in the deep south. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that's going on here.
This is
today, let me give you the data today. Today is June the 25th. What do we have going on in the garden? And are we going to be planting anything else? What is our schedules? You know, what's actually happening? Now, we are in Zone 8 in the Deep South. Now, we're about 30 miles north of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So, some of the information we give you today may not be for you. We're going to be talking predominantly about what goes on where we're at here.
Now, we've tried lots of gardening, different things. Danny's gardened since he was young, and mainly row gardening. And we do a lot of row gardening. But we also have high tunnels, we have container gardening, raised beds, hugelkultur. We do a little of it all here. And in a different video, we'll talk about that kind of stuff. But we're mainly going to talk about crops today. And we're going to start off with what is growing right now.
Right now, we have nothing new planted, okay?
And don't plan on planting.
And we don't plan
new.
on planting anything new from now until September.
Yes.
Okay? That's one thing we have to understand. This is that point in the year where we plant nothing.
Yeah, because it's just too hot. You would be constantly watering, and even with water at this temperature,
It does no
it
good.
just shrivels up.
Yeah.
If it's not already established and on its way, it's hard to get anything go up and going at this time. So
Now, really, we don't have any irrigation system set up on any of our gardens because we've always, we've never had to have it, to be honest with you.
it either rains or
We have
dew
such
from the
high
night.
humidity here that the dew in the morning gives our plants a lot of water. Now, what do we have growing? Okay, we still have our corn over at Pecan Grove is still growing. Well, it's in the drying stages now. And people ask us, when did we plant that? Well, this year, I just had a suspicion that it was going to be like this. So I planted around the 1st of March, sometime mid-March to 1st of March.
the end of February, 1st of March.
We had a 3-week period that it got to be about 80 degrees during the day.
Yeah.
And I told Wanda, I said, we got to take advantage of this. Let's just make it happen.
Because last year what happened with the corn, we waited because we kept saying, okay, it's too cold, it's too rainy, it's too this, it's too that. And Danny says, it's getting too late. So he jumped out there and planted his corn like the end of March or something.
Yeah, I would say way at the end of March,
And
maybe the 1st of April.
This time of the year last year, when it was so dry and so hot, our corn started tossling and it didn't pollinate. It was too hot.
Yep.
This year it pollinated and it's growing. It's about 3 weeks now. We just had some fresh corn and now it's in the drying stage. So getting it in early here is mandatory.
Even though it went through a freeze and we thought it killed it, it did not.
Yes.
Okay, we made it through that. The other thing we got growing is sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes love the heat. They are doing fairly well. Now, they could use some water. I'm not going to lie. They could use some rain. And we do occasionally get a little shower, but the heat evaporates it immediately. Our best rain comes at night if we can get it. If we get it during the day, it usually doesn't do very well for us.
So the sweet potatoes will harvest in
Well, we used
late
to
August,
we used to do it in late August, but this year,
beginning of August maybe.
well, it depends. We don't know yet.
We'll just have to check and see. But our days are up in August when he planted them. The number of days to harvest is in August. Then we have our okra.
Yes. Now we have some okra over at Pecan Grove that's been producing for quite a while.
About a month.
About a month.
Yeah.
And I came back over here and I told her, I said, okra's a hot loving plant, so I planted Star of David over here on the hill behind the cabin. And guys,
It's been struggling.
it has struggled because it literally, the ground is like concrete.
It's not got enough rain. It's been cold and hot, cold and hot. We've had a lot of days up until about a month ago.
Yeah.
Our temperatures fluctuated 30 to 40 degrees from morning to mid-morning.
Even one day this past week, it fluctuated 43 degrees in a day. And that the plants can't handle that.
So the okra is starting to bloom now, the Star of David.
Yeah.
And we have it. We also have your Cocozelle.
We have Cocozelle squash over here. Now they're really struggling. I planted those specifically for seed, not to eat because we're squashed out from Pecan Grove.
Yeah.
The round zucchinis over there, and a few Cocozelles, a few yellows over there, just
provided all we needed.
We've eaten squash till we're tired of squash. And we planted these specifically for seed. And
they struggle from day one.
They've been struggling since day one, and the heat is just taking its toll on them. The vine borers got to them because I didn't have time to actually take care of them like I should. And when I found out the vine borers had got to them,
Yeah.
I ran my pocket knife up in the vine and split the vine, not knowing whether it was going to kill the plant or not, to try to stab the worm. And I must have gotten most of them because the plants all of a sudden, it got a rain, and boy, they popped back out doing good. But now we're back into this 100-something degree heat indexes again. And I don't know if they're going to pollinate, if they're going to do. I know there's a few of them over there, but I don't know how long they will make it.
Over at Pecan Grove, I have peas and butter beans. The peas are a field pea, which is pink-eyed purple hulls. They are producing. I've picked them 3 times now, probably another week to 2 weeks, and they'll be over and done with. The beans are the little limas, and I think it was Henderson's. I can't remember.
It was, yeah.
They haven't started producing, but they are putting on blooms, and they're just little bitty plants, which the limas don't get to be huge plants, but they're struggling in this heat, and they usually like heat. The tomatoes are almost played out. The cucumbers are still making. I mean, we're still getting cucumbers. We're still getting peppers. What else is over there? We took up most all the squash.
All the squash is gone.
Danny did plant.
I had some muskmelons that I planted over there, but
they're struggling.
They're struggling bad.
So in this heat, the thing is, in the heat, there's a lot that we don't plant, or we don't. Once it plays out, we're done.
We're just done.
So we wanted to bring you up to date on what's going on now. We're not planting anything else. But when is our next time to start seed? A lot of people want to know, when will we be starting our next seed for the fall?
That will take place in late September. Now, there's a few things in late September that we'll be doing. Now, we won't do a lot, but we'll do some things. We will be seeding our onions for our sets to set out in November. We set them out in mid-November. In order to have bulb onions for next February to March. We will. That's that.
Now, if somebody doesn't want to do their own seeding their onions, they can order through Dixondale. Now, we've had really good luck with Dixondale onions.
Yes, we have.
We've gotten sets from them almost every year for about 4 or 5 years. And plus, Danny starts his own. So we have a side-by-side showing you what happened with the onions this year. And we've got onions in the past in videos that we show that came from Dixondale. But we will be starting our own again this year.
Yeah, we love doing our own onions. Now, we will also be seeding some carrots in the 1st of October because we harvest our carrots around February to March of every year. And we let our carrots overwinter because winter carrots are a lot sweeter than summer carrots. If you grow your carrots in the summertime, they get bitter because of the heat.
Now we have a raised bed that we've used for carrots for several years. It's amended to where the soil is real soft and the carrots grow amazing. So that one raised bed is the one that we use over and over for carrots. And once the carrots come out, we do put other things in there until the next fall.
Yeah. But now this year we decided to let our carrots just stay in the bed once we harvested what we
I still have
wanted.
fresh carrots.
We still eat fresh carrots, and we have some going to seed. So we're going to be trying this year to save some of our own carrot seeds. Now the carrot variety that we plant are Kuroda. You can get those from Hall's Tool, or you can get them from Kitazawa Seed Company.
Several seed companies are starting to carry them now.
These carrots are native to Hawaii, and one of our subscribers turned us on to them, and we have literally fell in love with them.
Okay, other plants that you would be planting
Now,
are
in
seeds.
Seeds. I'll be seeding in the 1st of late September, the 1st of October will be things, and this is going to depend on how the weather goes. Now, some years at the end of September, we're already turning cool. Some years at the middle of October, we're still hot and having hurricanes. So it all depends on how the year is going and how the weather is doing. But normally, we will plant our turnip greens, our kale, cabbage, broccoli, stuff like this. Our winter brassicas, or fall brassicas, should I say.
Yeah.
We will get those started from seeds, and we'll be transplanting them into to the garden. Now things like carrots and kale. Now we use the dwarf Siberian kale is what we plant here.
And the cabbage.
And the cabbage we use Green Duke or Flat Dutch or something like that. We've learned not to do the red because the red cabbages just don't do good here.
They get about this big, and we can't get them bigger. So
we like the big old heads of green cabbage.
Yeah.
We love them fresh.
Those will all be like October, according to weather, but maybe October. And we use seed trays. We have some seed trays that we got from Hall's Tools. And how many cells?
It's 100. I think it's 192 cells, or
180, 190,
190
like
something in one of them, I believe.
And that starts out all the seeds
maybe
that
160
we need.
something.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Might be 162. I think it might be 162. It's a lot. It's a whole bunch.
It's a lot of plants. So we start those in a little greenhouse that we have from Remington Solar. We have a small 10 by 10 greenhouse that we start our seeds in, and it works really good because it stays good and warm, and it germinates really fast.
The fall is mostly when we begin to amend our soil. You know, we try to go ahead and get our lime in because it takes 3 months for lime to actually work unless you're using basic slag, and basic slag works immediately, but it only lasts for a year. Yeah. We amend ours with the with Dolomite lime, and it takes about 3 months for that to activate. If we're going to put any organic fertilizers in, we try to get them in the fall because it takes 3 to 4 months for organic fertilizer to even start working, to have time to break down. We add our composted soil. We add new soil to our gardens.
We have our rabbit manure. We
manures.
also have our worm castings.
Yes.
We do a combination. We get in trouble lots of times because we use triple 13. But when you use row gardening, we just don't have enough manure and stuff to do row gardening.
You cannot buy enough organic fertilizer to do row crops like we do. We plant acres. You know, I mean, there's time you added all of our gardens together, several acres. And
so the rabbit manure is good for the small areas that we do, for raised beds, for containers. The worm castings, you can sprinkle it around, but there's not enough of it to do a field of corn or field of sweet potatoes. And like our green beans, we did, 4 rows?
Yeah, we did 4 rows.
If we had put just like our worm castings, we would have got down 1 row, maybe.
I don't even know if we'd have got a whole row.
Yeah.
Because they were 60 feet long.
And then if we did our rabbit manure on that, we would have gotten 2 rows done out of the rabbit manure, maybe. So it takes a lot, and we're not willing to raise 40 rabbits. We have 3.
Yeah.
You know, we're not raising lots and lots because we don't need it. We're trying to find a balance in our animals versus our plants and not overdo.
Well, not only that, I mean, guys, we use equipment to do our gardens with. And people always ask us, how do y'all take care of such big gardens? Y'all's gardens are beautiful and all. It's done with equipment. And that goes back to tilling the soil.
Yep.
That carries us back to, we tried the back to Eden, did not work in our heat. We tried the no-till, and for heaven's sakes, no, the great, you couldn't even stick a, you could drive it.
He tilled over here on this hill.
Yeah.
And he still can't put a broad fork in
I still
it.
can't get the broad fork in the ground. I mean, you take a, you can drive a nail in the ground here if you don't till it.
Yes.
And we got sandy soil. So what we do is we use our Cub Farmall and we till the soil. And it works out fantastic. Everybody says, you need something on that soil that keeps the sun from hitting it. No, we go in every so often and we break the soil up, and it allows the moisture from deep to come up to the roots. The roots get air around them just like they need, and they flourish.
Now, we've used row cover, and we'll talk about some of these different methods later in a video, but we have used row cover, and it does do really well on some of the plants that we've used it for. And we probably will use it again in the future on certain plants.
But row cover is a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize how much work row cover is. When we put it down, there's no getting back to that soil underneath it. I mean, if you hadn't amended that soil, and then at the end of the year, you got to pull it up because you got to re-amend that soil. Because your plants have pulled everything out of it, you got to put it back. And just putting a little handful of rabbit manure or fertilizer or something like that right where that plant is, that's not going to get it. You got to have that stuff out there where them plants, I call, go grocery shopping. Yeah. They got to go out there and look for that food you got to put out there for them if you want a healthy and vigorous plant. Now, if you put drip irrigation and you put a liquid fertilizer through it, hey, then you're good to go if you do it that way.
A lot of people don't have the money for ground cover, drip irrigation, special fertilizers like fish emulsion and bat guana and all this stuff that is a big fad right now. And it is working for a lot of people. And I'm not saying that, but it can be a fad. Gardening can be as simple as having something to break the ground up with, something that you can put fertilizer into the soil regardless of what it is, and seeds. And water.
Gardening doesn't have to be fancy.
It don't.
Okay, that's the biggest thing I'm seeing today on all the YouTubes and when you drive through places and you look at people's gardens, everything's made with all these fancy, cute little raised beds and all this kind of stuff. Guys, look, you ain't got to have all that. You know what I'm telling you? Just go out. You can do the simplest stuff. It ain't got to be nothing real fancy.
If it produces food and you get to eat, amen.
Amen. That's the way we look at it.
That's the way we look at it.
Yeah.
So try your best. Dig your hole, fertilize it, amend it, whatever you need to do, put a seed in it and learn to grow something.
We use plain old black mineral tubs from our cows. You know what I'm saying? And it literally...
Landscape
tubs. We got a friend that's in the landscaping business. He brings in big old huge tubs they take trees out of to us. We put plastic in the bottom of them up about 6 inches high. And we go to work on amending them and putting our own soil in them and stuff like that. We grow some beautiful stuff in just old funny looking containers.
And if you're in a city or in a place that you can't grow very well, there are GreenStalks and stuff like that. And I do have GreenStalks, and you can put them on your patios and grow vertically up. But if you don't have the money for GreenStalks, find you any containers that you have laying around. Walmart has these totes. Buy you some totes, put you some stuff in it, and grow in totes.
Yeah.
Or go buy and talk to people. If you empty out a milk jug, cut the top of it and put you some dirt in it and grow something out the top.
Herbs grow great and stuff like that.
You can learn to grow in anything. I've had people use laundry baskets and, anything they can find that's one man's junk is another man's treasure. Look for something to grow in. And beware, beware, beware of your dirt.
Yes, that is the last thing I want to close this video out with, is people are going out getting manure, getting straw, getting hay, getting all these amendments for the soil.
Or even the some of the bagged dirt.
Some of the bagged soil that has cow manure in it. Guys, there is a massive agenda underway in this country with Grazon, Remedy, 2,4-D, all these different herbicides. They are putting it under things and it passes through the animals. Well, they say it does pass through the animal's gut, but it locks, some of it gets held up in the fat of their body, so the meat's not any good, really. And then it comes out through the manure. The manure is sold. It is claimed that it is composted, and composting does not get rid of the aminoprylids that's in it. You can compost it all you want. You can run it through whatever heat you want. It's not killing the aminoprylids, because aminoprylids doesn't work that way. You cannot tell with some plants right off the bat. Now, beans, within 2 to 3, 4 days, they'll grow up, die. But a nightshade will actually grow up to be a big old beautiful plant before it actually starts curling and dying, because
it'll also put its fruit on.
Yes.
Sometimes we had tomatoes this big around.
Big.
And the plants were on steroids. The tomato plants were probably
5
5
feet tall, yeah.
Beautiful, the best tomato plants we've ever had.
Yes.
The tomatoes were just hanging in tags, and all of a sudden they just died. So you can't say, you look out there and you say, okay, all my plants are coming up, so that is a good soil. No, not really.
Not really, because
you have to wait till they get big.
You have to understand an aminopryllid is a cell builder. Mm-hmm. In other words, a plant, when you plant it, the cell structure in it's like they're on steroids. That plant grows so fast, but the root system doesn't grow to match it, and the plant actually outgrows itself and it dies. So that is a very difficult chemical to get out of the soil. It usually takes, you have to plant a monocot. You have to plant something like corn, a grass, or something like that back in there in order to pull it out of the soil. And even then it can take up to 2 to 3 years to get it out. But if you do nothing, it can actually lay dormant. According to Dow Chemicals website, it can lay there for up to 10 years and still be viable in the soil.
So plant beans to check your soil.
And
any bag soil, whatever, you can test it. Within a week to 2 weeks, you're going to know if it's good. Don't just go dumping anything you get into your soil. That's
and be careful about putting straw around, because lots of straw comes from farms where they spray Roundup to kill the crop all at once so they can harvest it all at once, and then that straw is turned around and sold in bales, and you're getting Roundup, which is a herbicide that you put around your plants, and it will actually kill your plants, get in the soil, and once again, you've destroyed your garden soil. So please be careful about what you use to amend your soil with. I know it is the organic way to go and it is the best thing to do, but the powers to be are destroying us in all different directions, guys.
So you'd want to be careful with soil, hay, straw, your manures, those things. That's what we want to leave you with today.
And also, let me say out.
You got something else.
Yep, I got one other thing. Alfalfa. Lots of people are going, oh, well, I'll use alfalfa and alfalfa pellets and all this stuff. Alfalfa is now genetically modified, called Roundup Ready alfalfa, which means they spray it with Roundup to kill any weeds out of it so that they can harvest beautiful, clean alfalfa. So don't be fooled by the alfalfa thing. It still can have Roundup in it.
Yes. So, guys, that's just a little bit about what's going on here at Deep South with our gardening, when our scheduling, and what we wanted to tell you to watch out for. Gardening it can be fun, but it can be a chore, and it can be very frustrating if you get caught up in some of these things that you don't know about. It's not your fault that you don't know, but if you're watching videos and you're seeing other people do things, check it out. Check more than one person, and always test your soil.
Always.
Always.
Thank you, guys, from Deep South Homestead.